Today, we're taking a look at Create Pattern Schematics, which on the surface is a pretty simple mod, but I think is an absolute game changer and a feature that really should be added to the Create mod. Now, essentially what this mod lets you do is take any schematic you have and turn it into a repeating pattern to let you really easily do cool stuff like bridge across large gaps. And as you can see, I can just easily print this in Creative and have my bridge instantly. Now to use this mod, first things first, you need a schematic. So I just have this little section of bridge, which I can go ahead and make a schematic of and call this bridge. And then once you have your schematic, you're going to craft up an empty pattern schematic, which is pretty cheap, an iron sheet, paper, and pink dye. And then you can go ahead and grab our bridge section, print it onto our schematic, and now we can place this in our world. So at first, you just kind of get it like a normal schematic. You can hold left alt to kind of choose your different positioning options, and then you hold left control to actually do those actions. So going to go ahead and put this into my position across my gap here. And then here's where the magic comes in, the clone. So once I have this selected, what I want to do is face the edge that I want to clone out, hold control, and then scroll up to clone it towards me. And you can see really quickly, we have now bridged this gap. Now, if I'm in Creative, obviously I can just go ahead and hit print and it will print this bridge. But in Survival, this works in a schematic cannon. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in like normal. We could put a book or a clipboard in here and it would get us our full list of materials. So you can see we have all our materials here, and I do have these in our chests already. But now that we're ready, I can go ahead and hit go. And you can see it'll place our schematic, and not just that first section, it's going to place all the way along the entire pattern. And just like that, we have now bridged our entire gap with only having to build this one 3-block section. And honestly, this could have been a 1-block section if I really wanted to, and we could have done the same thing. And then when it's done, you do just get a regular empty schematic off at the end, so you will have to craft up a new pattern schematic to do your next schematic build. Now, while this is a great feature and I think is super useful, not only for small scale stuff like this, but let's say you wanted to build an ocean bridge, you could actually do that a lot easier, or if you just have a section of buildings. So like if I wanted to take this building and extend it out that way, I could very easily do that using pattern schematics. I think they're an incredibly useful feature. However, this isn't the only way we can use them. You can actually use them infinitely if placed on a train. So essentially the way this is going to work is we're going to put our schematic into deployers, and those deployers use that schematic to place it infinitely, and it basically will pattern forever. Now I do have another schematic prepped here. This is for just like a railway tunnel we have for this used mine. Now you can build your schematic anywhere. However, what I would highly recommend doing is building it in line of your actual build. Now the reasoning is when we're using it in this fashion, it actually tiles. So you can see this is our pattern over here. And as I go ahead and build this, you can see that it kind of tiles itself. So this is our original pattern. You can see it tiled itself here, and then it basically started a new tile here. So if you wanted this pattern in between these two blocks, you really couldn't do it. You'd have to build this somewhere else. So I would highly recommend building it in line with your final build that you're doing. So we have this built here. I can go ahead and make a schematic of this, give it a name, and then come over to our schematic table. We're going to grab that out of there. And we now have our schematic. Now we don't need to position this. The tiling is basically going to take care of it for us, but we do need to put this on a train. So we're going to just put together a basic little train here. So we'll go ahead, place our station, create a new train, place down our casing and some train controls. And then we're just going to connect up a whole bunch of deployers. And actually, I think I'm going to move this back a block because I want to leave some space so this deployer can place the track before our train gets there. So controls there, and then we basically need to fill this out with deployers. And even though we do need to place our schematic in the filter, we can actually build our deployer wall now. And that's because the mod authors actually added a feature where you can place your schematic into every deployer at once, which is super useful. So we have that there, and then we'll go ahead and connect this up. And then we do need our materials on our train. So I got this chest prepped, which I can just throw right there. We're going to make sure this is all super glued correctly, and it looks like it is not. So we'll glue it to here, and then we'll glue our whole wall of deployers. So now that that's done, we're going to assemble our train. And what we can do is we can shift, right click on the side, and you can see it says applied pattern to 19 deployers, which is all of these deployers. So now when we go ahead and start driving our train, we can see that they are going to start placing our schematic. Okay, so I did mess one thing up. You do actually need to have your schematic positioned, and then you're going to come in here and shift right click on your deployers, and then it will apply it. So I just positioned my schematic over our original build and then reapplied it to all the deployers. And now as we drive our train, you can see it automatically placing down our schematic. Now, for some reason, it's not doing the rails. Oh, that's because I didn't place any in this chest. So let's go ahead and place down our tracks, not rails. Had the wrong thing in there. And now if I back it up and then send it forward, there we go. It's now placing down our rails as it goes. And you can see we can infinitely build our little mine trail. And obviously we could put drills on front of this and automatically be mining and decorating at the same time. And this is so cool and so useful, not just for mines, but any rail build you do, you can just automatically have it decorated as you go. Plus, this also does work with signals. If I were to have a signal as part of our original schematic, it would be placing a signal each schematic. So if you're doing a system, it's something I would definitely recommend doing for your little train line. And this is so cool. Just literally having an infinite schematic is incredible. So even though this is a smaller mod, it's really something I wanted to cover because it's just so cool and genuinely something that I think is feature rich enough yet simple enough to understand that I would definitely want to see something like this or just this added to the base create mod. It's one of the best integrated mods I've reviewed in a long time, and I'm a big fan of it. So definitely go download Create Pattern Schematics in the description below. Leave a like on this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.